and welcome to this video. So this video is going to be coming out quite late because financial situation has gotten a little iffy, and I apologize for that. So I can't pay for my editing program, but you know, it's fine. I'll still be reading and recording videos as I read. Videos will be a little more consistent once I get my editing software back up and running. Anyways, on to today's video, which is my book talk for Sky Without Stars by Jessica Brody and Joanne Rendell. Now, if you are into sci-fi, I highly suggest you read this, and I'm just going to put a disclaimer right here, right now. I have never read or seen Les Mis. It took a bit for me to get through this book, only because of all the French. I may be from Canada, but I don't know French. It was definitely a trip, because as a Canadian, I learned French in elementary school, and it's mandatory partway through junior high. I, however, was able to stop it once I entered junior high, because I kept switching schools, and I was like, yeah, I took French already, it's fine. So I lied to the school system because I hated being forced to learn a language, and so I hated French because I was being forced to learn the language. So it was a bit difficult to get through this book for me, but once I did, amazing. I ended up having to listen to the audiobook like halfway through it because I was like, oh my god, I cannot deal with it, which is why it took me like twice as long as in Arlwood. And I'm going to take a break between Sky Without Stars and between Burning Worlds because I need a moment to read a book that's fully English. I'm glad I read this. Granted, I know it's supposed to be based off of the Les Mis, but as someone who's never read or seen Les Mis, I can't compare it to that. So, as someone who's never read or seen it, I rather like this book. I think if you compare it, like I've read a lot of reviews, if you compare it to Les Mis, it's gonna fall short because it's a classic, and often you can't replicate classics. You just can't. It's impossible. But as someone who doesn't read classics, I rather enjoyed this book. Now, if you have not read this book, please don't go any further into this because it's all spoilers. I have a few things to talk about. But first, we're going to talk about our three main characters, Chatine, Alouette, and Marcellus. First, we're going to talk about the world of Litaire and the fact that, well, Litaire is one of, I don't remember how many planets in the system divine, and it's basically a planet based on France. So Litaire is a rather unique planet. It's got one huge landmass and two cities, Valonay and Montfort. Valonay is where most of this book takes place. We do go to Montfort for a little bit, but then we don't go back. So, hope to see more of Montfort, maybe, I don't know. And we have our three classes, obviously, lower, middle, and up. Third, second, and first class. We're just going to go like that. So our first class is the First Estate. It's like the family, and they're all the first estaters. Anyone with, like, royal blood are first estaters. Second estaters are just rich, and they run the ministère, which is what controls the third estaters. And the third estaters are the working class, the working, starving people. And oh my god, I have some problems with this, with the whole system, with the regime. And I get it. It's based off of the French Revolution, like the time just before the French Revolution as it was happening. But oh my god, I just have so many problems. And the fact that Marcellus says to Shatine that it's perfect, I'm like, oh no, honey. We could have a much better system here. And we've got defectors, which were all kind of sent to Bastille, which is Letaire's moon, and prison. Yeah, it's a prison. And so Bastille is the prison, it's the moon, basically. And there's Le Dôme, which is where the first and second estate live. We've got our patriarch and matrone, I think, who are basically king and queen. It was very confusing in the beginning, but I sort of got it as the book went on. Yeah, and so any defectors who tried to live out of the regime, the ministère, like no skins, which is also a thing. There's a lot to unpack. And so skins are basically they're trackable. They're like your human tracking device. It's also your phone. Oh, there's that. It's like your everything if you're a third estate. Or if you're a second estate, you have a telecom. Also, if you're a first estate, you probably also have a telecom. And I rather like how there's this whole thing with the forgotten word. And it's really nice to have most of your characters not being able to read it. And it's kind of interesting. I haven't come across that since I read Six of Crows with, what's his name? This starts with a W. Fuck, I don't know. Oh, Wyland. That's right. With Wyland, because he can't read in Six of Crows. Let's get back on track. So, yeah, Letaire is a rather gloomy planet that's almost constantly raining and has, I think, a 30-hour day cycle and somewhere in the 400s of a year cycle. So that's also interesting. I would love to live in a 30-hour day cycle. I get so much done. With all of our technology right now, I'd be swimming. Granted, I don't know how well I'd work, but because I'm sure working would be more than 8 hours. Yeah, that's basically Letaire. Now, let's talk about Shatine. Shatine is a girl in the third estate who poses as a boy because she doesn't want to get the nutrients in her blood sucked dry and then she dies at a very young age. Like, no one wants that. I would pose as a boy. Like, if I was Shatine, I'd be doing the same thing. And Shatine's boy name is Theo or Teo. In the audiobook, they say Teo. I prefer to think of it as Theo, but that's just how I am. And Shatine is basically your average thief trying to survive, except she doesn't work. She steals, and her parents are a part of her father is the leader of the Delabre gang. It's really interesting seeing the relationship, because clearly, from like the first time you meet Shateen's parents, you can tell like they don't really love her. So they just treat her as something that can bring in money with all of her thefts. But yeah, Shateen poses as a boy, but she's constantly at the risk of being exposed as being a girl if she doesn't bring in enough profit. I love Shateen personally. I love that, and I was most interested in her story over everyone else because it's interesting. Because she's a thief that poses as a boy, and she doesn't want anything to do with rebellion, but of course, she's kind of inserting herself in it anyways. Even though she doesn't want anything to do with it, she ends up getting twisted into it, so. And at the end of the book, even though she knows where the Vanguard, which is the rebellion, she knows where her base is for the Vanguard, she chooses to blow up the library base and not the Vanguard base. And have the general do that. And I'm just like, oh my god, Shateen, you're amazing. And then she goes to Bastille. And it's not something I wanted for her, but I'll have to see how that goes in between Burning Worlds. But yeah. What are you doing? But yeah, so Shateen's my favorite character. I love her, and she's just great. I love her humor, and she's just a great character. Now, to get away from Shateen, we're gonna go to Marcellus. He's our other main character, and he is a second estate officer, minister officer, being trained to become, I forget, what was it? Well, he's being trained to go up in the ranks and basically be one level below the general. And so, which is his grandfather, and his grandfather's a prick. So, that's all you need to know about his grandfather. But Marcellus, he's so great. He's a good man. I love how he is so squeamish with blood. He's a coward in the beginning, and I love it. I love seeing his growth too. Like he actually stands up for himself more, and I love it. He's a good man, of course. And he finds out Shateen is spying on him for his grandfather. And he gets all upsetty spaghetti. I just want to slap the fucking hell out of him. Like, doesn't he understand Shateen doesn't have much of a choice because his grandfather can expose that she is in fact a girl and not a boy. But, I just can't. I can't with him. I ship Marcellus and Shateen more than I ship Marcellus and Alouette. That's just personal opinion, but yeah, that's just my personal opinion. But yeah, so Marcellus, coward turned a little bit heroic, and he finally picks a side. He picks the side of not his grandfather. The side of the rebellion. Yes? Would you like down? So, we have all of that going on, and that's the storyline I was most invested in until the end, which was Alouette. Now, Alouette has been in this refuge, which is actually a Vanguard base, since she was 6 years old. And she's been with her father who's not really her father, but really, he's basically an adoptive father, who is also a convicted felon he's a convicted prisoner who escaped. He's an escaped convict. And find out at the end, excuse me. We find out at the end that he was really imprisoned for stealing shoe bread. And then he escaped prison. Also, the man is so strong. He's stronger than 4 men. Well, 3 men and 1 Shatine. So, yeah, he's very strong, and I love how much he loves Alouette. But, yeah, Alouette's story I wasn't too interested in until I realized, until, like, the end of it, and oh my god. So, she does not know that there's been a rebellion going on, and she does not know that she is actually being trained to be a Vanguard operative. And oh my god, I can't believe the sisters, the Vanguard, had managed to hide it from Alouette for 12 years. But damn. So Alouette is now a fully fledged Vanguard operative, trained for 12 years, and it's rather amazing. I love her. And her nickname's Little Lark. Oh, it's so great. But yeah, Alouette, great. She's so great. Oh my god. She was a wimpy girl at the beginning, but she kind of grew into herself, and I rather like that. So Alouette became a more likable character as the story went on, but I wasn't too keen on her in the beginning, as I said, but I rather like her now. She's a pretty good character with quite the development from this girl that's sheltered to this girl that's now a Vanguard operative, fully fledged, and she just learns about it. Whew. So that's nice and interesting. Now I'm gonna talk more about Shatine's family, specifically her siblings. Now, we have a few interactions with Azelle, which is Shatine's sister, and Azelle was just so innocent. She was so hardworking, and then she got killed in the end. And oh, I just no. She didn't need to die. Oh. Like, I just don't. I get it. Trauma needs to happen and stuff like that, but why her sister? Why? Her sister was innocent and hardworking. Like, come on. And we are led to believe throughout most of this book that her little brother, Henri, whatever, I think Henri is a little nicer, but that he died and was killed by Alouette because she was living with the Renards, and when she was younger, before her adoptive father came by to pick her up. But yeah, so little Henri was actually sold, and and in current time, so when this book is like taking place, her little brother would be 13. Now, I have a theory. I don't know if it's ever going to be proven right, but because it is revealed that Henri was sold, despicable, but sold, I think he's still alive, and I think Shatine's already met him. Frankly, she's also made him not trust her now, but I think that the little boy Roche, who sends messages for the Vanguard, is little Henri. And I want to believe it. And that's what I'm believing until I'm proven wrong, because I believe he's alive, and there's no bodies. I believe he's alive, and that he's just Roche. I believe he's Roche. Honestly, that's what I believe. Because you can just rename your kid. Like, Sam! Like, Shatine managed to change her name and her gender according to the Ministère logs, so it's possible. That's just what I believe, and he has no known last name, no parents, nothing, so I think that Roche is Henri. But that's just my opinion. But Shatine's parents are a piece of shit. They don't care about their children, obviously. And Mabel is, Mabel, for the brief moments that we saw her, I loved and hated her. She's so cryptic, and I love it. But she's so cryptic that I also hate it. She tells Marcellus, so she's Marcellus's old governess who ended up also being a Vanguard spy. So, yeah. Marcellus, also, his father was Vanguard, so yeah, he's got a lot of like confusing family relations, and it's a thing. But yeah, Mabel taught him the forgotten word, and it's great, and I love it. And also enabled him to find out that his father did not actually do the bombing of 488, and I love it. But yeah, there's that, and the General Bonfasson, is actually behind the Patriarch's daughter, the Premier Enfant, her death. She died at like 2, almost 3 years old, just before her 3rd birthday. Oh my god. But he killed her because he wants to take over the regime. But in order to do that, there can't be an heir, and he has to get rid of the Patriarch. First, you get rid of the heir, then you get rid of the Patriarch, and all of that. But, yeah, General Bonfasson was also behind the bombing of 488 and then pinned it on his son. I want to take some things. I just want to take some characters in this book and just squeeze the life out of them. Like General Bonfasson. And also the Patriarch, because he is an a-hole. Patriarch is a shit person, so there's that. And then we have Inspector Lemire. Oh my god. He chases Legrand. Okay, so Alouette's father is escaped convict. I forget his first name, but Legrand is the last name. And oh my god, chases Legrand for 25 years over escaping Bastille, and oh my god. Thing is, he just stole some bread. Inspector Lumiere is just too much. And then Shatine's parents, I think, get arrested. Yeah, they get arrested. So Shatine's parents and Shatine are going to Bastille. So all the Renards are together. Oh my god. Lumiere, I didn't like. He's a cyborg, but yeah, he's a cyborg, so he's got all this circuitry implanted in him and metal and all this stuff to make him better, which evidently makes him more a robot than human. But yeah, this book was pretty good. That's all I have to really say on this book right now. I had my difficulties with it. And yeah, so Sky Without Stars. Nice hefty book. Uh, but definitely worth the read, to me at least, if you have no expectations going into it. Just know that you shouldn't have expectations, because you just shouldn't. But yeah, that's everything for this video. And it's a pretty long video, actually, hopefully. So that's all I have to say about this book. It was a good book. It was. Despite all the problems I had reading it, I did like it. It's not the best book out there, but it's a solid 4 out of 5 stars. So that was Sky Without Stars, and that was my basically review for it. It's a good book. It is. Despite all of my problems with it, it is. It's a good book. I know a lot of people go into it expecting Les Mis, but you're not going to get that. Not really. I don't think so. So just don't expect Les Mis. Just don't do that. So that's it for this video. Yeah, so like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. I don't have a set schedule anymore, and so also ringing that bell will let you get notified for when I actually post a new video, because it's random. It's very random. But yeah, so I hope you all enjoyed this video. Give it a like if you liked it. Subscribe and ring that notification bell to be notified whenever I upload. And I will see you all in the next video.